Today we're gonna have a look at 3 VR mods for some of the latest and hottest PC games, all 3 of them released just a month ago. If you are tired of DCS World, Half-Life Alyx or Assetto Corsa, I guarantee you will have lots of fun spending tons of hours with these high quality and brand new PC games in VR. At least that's what I had the past week playing them on my Pimax Dream Air. None of these 3 games I'll showcase are meant to be played in VR. They have no official VR support and they all need VR mods or certain injectors to work. But once you get them up and running, plus spend some time optimizing for performance and somewhat smooth frame rate, then wow! I was really impressed by all 3 of them, and playing these in VR with a Pimax Dream Air is probably the best way to go.
Wow. Holy crap, this is so good looking.
Let's start off with the first game, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It was released back in May and it's already now considered to be the best LEGO adventure game till this day. I am a big fan of LEGO in general, as you probably can tell, and I've played many of the LEGO franchise games with my 5-year-old son. Thing is, it never really hit me to try these LEGO games in VR until I saw an old friend and a VR YouTuber, Graham from Paradise DK, testing it out not long ago, so thanks for that and a shout out to Graham Skivington. LEGO Batman is an Unreal Engine 5 game made to be played on a monitor or a TV, but as you probably know, you can play most Unreal Engine games in VR today thanks to UEVR, or Universal Unreal Engine VR mod, formerly created by the well-known community modder called PreyDog, and today maintained by a huge Flat2 VR community. In short, UEVR is a free, open-source framework that converts thousands of non-VR games made with Unreal Engine 4 and 5 into fully playable virtual reality experiences with 6 DOF tracking, and some games even got VR motion controller support. I bet you're probably familiar with UEVR by now, so it needs no further introduction. Injecting LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is super simple, and instead of wasting your time here, I'll just leave links to helpful tutorials in the video description. Running medium to high in-game settings, coupled with NVIDIA DLSS 4.5 upscaling set to quality preset, I had no issues at all playing this game on my RTX 4090 and a Pimax Dream Air in a mostly locked 72 frames per second at 72Hz mode. To achieve this though, the Steam VR resolution was set to between 60% and 70%, which maybe isn't as sharp as native resolution at 100, but I can tell you that the DLSS at quality coupled with the sharpening option in Pimax Play Evo makes the game look beautiful anyway. It's definitely sharp enough and without noticeable jagged edges. In case you wonder, I did use Steam VR and the SBoys 3 native Steam VR driver for this instead of running pure OpenXR runtime such as Pimax OpenXR or the Pimax XR, which are both supported with UEVR. I simply wanted to show you the frame rate and the frame times with FPS VR, and also I wanted to try playing it at full Steam VR resolution with Steam VR motion smoothing. And yes, I can confirm that it plays perfectly and completely smooth in both cases on my RTX 4090 GPU. This game is amazingly sharp at 100% resolution, and the motion smoothing does an excellent job with just some occasional artifacts in fast motion, but still totally acceptable even for a picky guy like me. There are a few tweaks you can do within the game and the UEVR to make the camera view easier on your eyes and your stomach, potentially avoiding motion sickness, such as disabling in-game camera wobble and the camera shake, and especially enabling an option called a decoupled pitch, which is within the UEVR before injecting the game. This option locks the horizon level and removes unwanted camera roll and uncomfortable angles or moves during animated cutscenes. Anyway, let me tell you, this game looks amazing in VR on the Dream Air. It's smooth, it's sharp, and it's just so alive. The colors are popping like crazy and the various atmospheres are just impressive, especially further on into the game when you enter Gotham City. This is just an amazing VR experience and at least 10 to 15 hours of fun gameplay. For some people, Lego Batman can feel like a ridiculous choice for VR, but believe me, you are wrong. I can truly recommend you to try it out, and although it is a fun game to play on your living room TV, but in high-end VR, such as with the Pimax Dream Air, it's just mind-blowing. The second game I tried was Subnautica 2, also released in early access back in May. Just like Lego Batman, it's an Unreal Engine game and we used the latest nightly build of the UEVR Injector to get it running in VR. What sets this game apart is that it also got VR motion controller support in 6 degrees of freedom room scale, meaning you can play the entire game while interacting with your VR controllers as hands. There is a great tutorial on how to set it all up in just a few minutes, so check the link in the video description, and big thanks to Jay Busfield for creating the VR controller mod, and also thanks to Jay Hodge for creating a necessary DLL file for improved stereo rendering in this game. Performance-wise, the game requires quite a lot from your PC, both in terms of GPU and CPU. In fact, UEVR itself eats a lot of CPU resources here, in my case with the Ryzen 5950X, and it's kind of limiting the potential. With the Dream Air resolution at 70 or even 60%, I could never really achieve a higher frame rate than 60, 65, maybe up to 70 frames per second. So I settled for the S.3 native SteamVR driver again, and I locked the frame rate to half and ran with motion smoothing enabled at 45 frames per second in 90Hz mode, which was surprisingly solid. As long as your frame rate never dips below 45 frames per second, game will be totally playable with only some minor artifacts in fast motion and quick turns. I kept most in-game settings on medium with DLSS set to performance profile. You also need to turn off motion blur and water blur to prevent visual glitches and potential motion sickness. Make sure to check out the tutorial video by Launch and VR, as there are many other tweaks you can do to improve your experience. Either way, wow, this is a great looking game in VR. The vivid color palette, the 3D depth and the huge scale of the ocean. It's simply amazing, and it definitely looks better than the original Subnautica game that has native VR support. With resolution at 70%, it's still very sharp on the Dream Air, and DLSS smoothens out all the jagged edges. Almost all of them at least. The dark environments are simply tailored for the Dream Air and its micro OLED panels, of course. Blacks are pure black, colors are popping, and the underwater atmosphere is just so satisfying. With Subnautica 2, you get at least 15 to let's say 20 hours of fun in VR playing through the main story, but you can probably spend hundreds of hours just exploring the beautiful underwater world. The third and the last game I wanted to demonstrate is Forza Horizon 6. In case you've been living under a rock, you may not know this, but there is a VR mod for this game, making it fully playable with 6DoF tracking. In fact, there are at least 2 different VR mods for Forza Horizon 6, and it can be a bit confusing which to go for. I settled for the Forza Horizon FH6 VR mod by a guy called Nalu Luna, something like that. Since I only had this game through Xbox Game Pass, I had no choice, it seems. It was the only VR mod that properly worked with the Game Pass version of Forza Horizon 6. I had to add though, the development of those VR mods is so quick these days, so you'll need to do some research on your own which VR mod is best for you. Actually, already now, while still working on this video, after recording these clips you're looking at, there is an updated version 0.7 available already. By the time this video goes public, or let's say maybe a month from now, there are probably plenty of updated versions and even new VR mods maybe available at this point. So please keep yourself updated every day because it's only going to get better from here. Installing and running the game with this VR mod is super simple, even easier than UEVR, I would say, and there are many tutorials available on how to get started. I will add at least one video in the description down here below. With this mod by Nalu Luna, the True Stereo mode or AFR rendering mode runs great and offers true 6-DoF tracking. Please have in mind that only the cockpit view enables the true VR mode. All the other camera views plus menus and cutscenes are rendered flat on kind of a cinema screen in front of you. Then when you jump into the car in cockpit view, that's when VR mode and 6-degree freedom tracking kicks in. It's also important to understand that this AFR rendering mode I used renders half of the game's frame rate per eye. This means even if the game runs at stable 72 frames per second, as you can see here, the real frame rate is half of that. And no matter how much I tried over a full day or two just configuring this game and the mod, I couldn't get Steam VR motion smoothing nor smart smoothing with OpenXR runtimes to work properly with this mod. The available AFR mode with interpolation works totally smooth only if I lower the render resolution a lot, which I didn't want to do really. But don't let this scare you away, okay? It might sound strange, but the game feels very smooth running the non-interpolated AFR mode, at least after optimizing and adjusting settings so that it never drops below 72 frames per second. This is mainly due to the perfect frame pacing at 36 frames per second per eye. It never feels juddery or stuttery. I think a lot of the simulator-oriented VR users know what I'm talking about when it comes to frame pacing. Also, I went for 72Hz mode because reaching a stable 90 frames per second at 90 Hz required me to run at a lower render resolution, making the game look too blurry in my opinion. With Dream Air at 72Hz, I could keep the open world look beautiful by running a high resolution, most in-game settings at high, including DLSS at auto or balanced. In some cases, actually, I could even run it with quality profile. You can freely set the rendered per eye resolution in this VR mod before launching the game, and when running at 4000 by 4000 pixels or anything above, the game looks almost natively sharp and crisp with very little aliasing thanks to the latest DLSS 4.5. Best performance was achieved when using Pimax XR as OpenXR rendered. Oh, and there seems to be a bug with Pimax XR runtime and this VR mod, at least it was the case for me. Pimax XR made the image darker on default, in this game at least, but you can correct that with a brightness slider inside of the in-game settings or temporarily increase brightness and contrast within Pimax Play. Either way, Forza Horizon 6 in VR is an extremely immersive experience overall. The cars, the city, all the different environments just feel realistic. They're beautifully designed and very sharp with the resolution and the settings I settled for. You can play it with the steering wheel or just with a gamepad, whichever feels better for you. Races are exciting and will give you many hours of fun in VR. I think Forza Horizon 6 in VR is just a must try. Just like Subnautica 2 and the Lego Batman we just looked at. And these are 3 out of hundreds, if not thousands of amazing flat-screen PC games, some of them real AAA games that you can play in VR on your Pimax Dream Air thanks to UEVR and other individual VR mods. Well, in between all these hardware-oriented videos I usually do with Pimax, I really enjoyed, at least for once, dedicating some time playing these high-quality PC games in VR. Something that I can highly recommend you to do as well. There's a whole new VR world to explore with UEVR, and both the Dream Air and the Dream Air SC are literally made for this purpose. Anyway, I hope you found some value out of this video. Please check the links in the video description if you need help with setting it all up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.